Dawn breaks over the Swiss Alps in total silence. No roads, no cranes, no signs of civilization, just a vertical wall of granite rising 3,000 meters into thin, unforgiving air. And somewhere along this cliff, almost invisible from the valley floor, is a $200 million structure that shouldn't exist. Wind moves across the ridge at 120 kilometers per hour. Snow drifts sideways. The drop below is nearly a kilometer of empty air.
Standing here, you realize something immediately. This isn't a house built on a mountain, it's a house anchored into one. And if a single calculation was wrong, even by a millimeter, this entire cliff would reject it.
5 years ago, this exact location was labeled structurally irrational. The granite is ancient, fractured by glacial movement, and constantly stressed by freeze-thaw cycles. Traditional foundations were impossible, so the engineers didn't design a base. They designed a bond. Cut to drilling rigs suspended by tension cables. Titanium rock bolts, each longer than a city bus, are driven deep into the alpine stone. Instead of pouring a foundation slab, engineers created a skeletal spine that grips the mountain at multiple anchor points, distributing weight like a climber spreading force across fingertips. CGI overlays show load paths, branching through steel ribs into granite veins. This isn't construction, it's structural negotiation.
What makes this insane is that we're not talking about a lightweight cabin. When fully assembled, this structure weighs more than a small naval vessel, and it's hanging off the edge of the Alps.
At 3,000 meters, air density drops nearly 30%. Helicopter lifts become unpredictable. Every beam, every panel of glass, every precision-cut steel component had to be flown in. The world's most dangerous commute. Pilots approach the ridge with less than 3 centimeters of margin during heavy lifts. A sudden gust could swing 5 tons of steel into the cliff face, ending the project instantly. But the first real turning point wasn't the structure, it was movement, because this villa doesn't just sit on the cliff. It rotates. In the center of the home lies a 500-ton kinetic wing, a massive panoramic living space mounted on magnetic bearings. No traditional rollers, no visible tracks. Instead, a ring of industrial-grade electromagnets creates near-zero friction, a structure the weight of a commercial aircraft designed to move with a push.
Watch this. I can't physically move it myself, but once those magnets engage, this entire wing can rotate 360 degrees to follow the sun. It's not a gimmick. It's energy efficiency engineered into architecture.
Thermal cameras reveal why. At this altitude, direct sunlight becomes both ally and predator. Winter nights drop below minus 20 degrees Celsius. But daytime solar gain is intense. The rotating wing ensures no space ever falls into shadow. It harvests light, reduces heating loads, and turns the mountain itself into a thermal partner. But rotation demanded perfection. The structure must withstand alpine wind speeds exceeding 200 kilometers per hour. Engineers ran simulations replicating Category 5 storm loads. Carbon steel reinforcement integrates with aerospace-grade titanium nodes, a hybrid system designed to flex microscopically without fracturing. You don't fight the wind here, you absorb it. Then came the glass. 5 tons per panel, triple glazed, argon-filled, ballistic rated. Each sheet lifted by helicopter and guided into position by climbers suspended above the abyss. If one edge chipped, replacement time, 6 months.
When you're this high up, glass isn't decoration. It's a pressure barrier. Inside this house, the air pressure is carefully regulated. Outside, storms can change atmospheric conditions in minutes. These panels are structural shields.
Slow-motion footage captures the largest panel descending into place. 3 centimeters of clearance. Bolts tighten, vacuum seals engage. Silence. Suddenly the mountain isn't outside, it's inside the room, but the true spectacle hangs beyond the edge. A 15-meter acrylic wall, transparent, flawless, forming the front of an infinity pool suspended 1,000 meters above the valley. 30 tons of water, held in place by molecular bonding techniques typically reserved for deep-sea submersibles. CGI cross-sections show pressure forces pushing against reinforced acrylic thicker than a fighter jet canopy. If even a single seal failed, erosion could compromise the cliff face itself.
Standing here at the edge of this pool, your brain can't process it. There's nothing beneath you but air. It feels like swimming in a cloud.
But spectacle alone doesn't justify $200 million. What justifies it is invisibility. Inside, the luxury isn't gold-plated excess, it's silence. Geothermal systems drilled deep into the granite regulate temperature using the mountain's own thermal mass. Oxygen enrichment systems adjust air composition, compensating for high-altitude fatigue. Even the plumbing uses magnetic dampeners to eliminate vibration, because in a structure this quiet, a single pipe hum would echo like thunder. The fireplace, anchored directly into structural steel beams fused into the cliff. The wine cellar, carved into natural rock, using ancient stone as insulation. This house doesn't overpower the Alps. It edits them.
That's what impresses me most. It doesn't look like we conquered the peak. It looks like the mountain invited us in.
Solar arrays integrated into the roof generate full renewable power. Snowmelt sensors embedded in carbon fiber tiles activate heating elements before accumulation becomes dangerous. Storm grounding systems channel lightning energy safely into deep rock anchors. When spring storms roll in, this villa becomes the safest point on the ridge. Not because it hides from nature, but because it understands it. And as sunset approaches, the true purpose of the rotating wing reveals itself. The magnets engage. The entire living space begins its slow, silent rotation, tracking the sun's final arc. Glass glows amber. From the valley below, the villa appears to shift with the horizon itself, not a structure imposed on geography, but one synchronized with it.
You spend enough time here, and you stop thinking of it as a building. It feels alive, responsive, almost aware of the mountain around it.
And we're just getting started. Because what transformed this engineering marvel into the most exclusive address in Europe wasn't the steel. It was what came after. Night falls differently at 3,000 meters. There is no city glow, no distant highway hum, just starlight. Sharp, almost surgical, cutting through alpine darkness. The villa shifts into night mode automatically. Exterior lighting softens, washing the cliff face in a faint halo while ensuring the structure never competes with the sky above it. The house doesn't shine, it breathes.
Up here, darkness isn't something you switch on. It's something you respect. The designers told me the goal wasn't to light the mountain, it was to let the mountain keep its dignity.
As temperatures plunge, the geothermal system transitions seamlessly. Sensors embedded throughout the steel skeleton monitor expansion and contraction at the micron level. If wind pressure increases, internal stabilizers redistribute load across the anchor network, drilled deep into the granite. This home is constantly calculating. More than 4,000 data points are processed every second. Wind speed, atmospheric pressure, humidity, structural strain, solar intensity. Hidden behind stone walls is a central control core, an artificial brain designed not for spectacle but for anticipation. Before snow accumulates, carbon fiber roof tiles warm by a few degrees, just enough to prevent ice formation. Before oxygen levels drop inside the rotating wing, enrichment systems activate silently, maintaining sea level comfort despite the altitude. Nothing is reactive, everything is predictive.
What's fascinating is how invisible it all is. You don't see vents. You don't hear motors. The luxury here isn't loud, it's surgical.
Inside, materials shift the narrative from engineering to emotion. Floors of reclaimed alpine oak meet walls carved directly from exposed granite. The edges are left intentionally raw, a reminder that beneath the polish, the mountain remains sovereign. A staircase floats along a glass spine, each step machined to a tolerance of less than 1 millimeter. At this altitude, expansion gaps must account for temperature swings that would crack conventional builds. Even the master suite is suspended slightly beyond the main footprint, a calculated projection that intensifies the illusion of hovering over the void. Floor-to-ceiling glass disappears at the touch of a button, transitioning from transparent to opaque in under a second. Privacy at the edge of the world.
Imagine waking up here. You don't open curtains. You open the horizon.
Steam rises from the infinity pool as outside air hovers near freezing. The water remains a constant 38 degrees Celsius. The contrast is intentional, cold air sharpening the senses, warm water grounding the body. Underwater speakers deliver acoustics calibrated like a concert hall. Engineers studied how sound behaves at high altitude. Thinner air alters vibration patterns, so the system compensates in real time, because here even silence is engineered. The dining space sits at the outermost curve of the rotating wing. A Michelin-level kitchen operates behind seamless panels, gas mixtures adjusted for altitude so flame consistency never fluctuates. No visible screws, no exposed mechanics. The engineering becomes the ornament. Wine rests in a cellar carved directly into the mountain's interior. Ancient rock provides natural insulation, stabilizing temperature without energy expenditure. Bottles age in conditions the Alps perfected long before architects arrived.
This might be my favorite detail. The mountain isn't just holding the house up, it's preserving what's inside it.
But this villa isn't simply about comfort. It's about autonomy. Solar arrays integrated along the ridge capture high-altitude sunlight at efficiencies nearly 20% greater than valley installations. Energy storage systems embedded beneath the primary platform ensure complete independence during multi-day storms. Water comes from captured alpine mist, filtered and recycled through a closed-loop purification system. Waste is processed on-site using biological isolation protocols designed for extreme environments. Arrival is by electric vertical lift aircraft, silent, zero-emission transport that lands on a reinforced platform engineered to absorb dynamic impact loads without transmitting shock into the rotating wing.
When you land up here, it doesn't feel like arriving at a house. It feels like docking at a spacecraft.
And yet, despite the futuristic systems, the most impressive feature remains the simplest. After full construction weight was applied, steel, glass, water, furnishings, engineers conducted final displacement tests. Sensors detected movement measured in fractions of a millimeter. The anchor network held firm. The mountain had accepted the structure. Windstorms exceeding 200 kilometers per hour have since passed over the ridge. From inside, guests report hearing nothing more than a muted whisper. The storm becomes theater. The house becomes sanctuary. But perhaps the most powerful moment comes not during chaos, but at sunrise. As first light touches the eastern peaks, the rotating wing begins its daily arc. The entire living space pivots slowly, almost imperceptibly, aligning glass walls with the golden horizon. Shadows retreat. Light floods the interior.
You realize something in that moment. This place doesn't just protect you from nature. It choreographs your relationship with it.
5 years of engineering, thousands of helicopter lifts, precision measured not in centimeters but in microns, all condensed into a single key. The final handover marked more than completion. It marked a threshold, proof that architecture can exist in dialogue with geography rather than dominance over it. From the valley floor, the villa appears as a subtle shimmer against the cliff face. Glass into sky, water into horizon.
Standing here now, it's hard to remember that experts once called this location unbuildable. Maybe the mountain wasn't the obstacle. Maybe our imagination was.
This is not just the highest luxury residence in Switzerland. It's a demonstration of what happens when aerospace engineering, alpine geology, and architectural ambition converge. A structure built not to dominate the peak, but to belong to it. In the end, luxury here isn't about marble or price tags. It's about control of temperature, of wind, of light, of silence. It's about turning the edge of the world into the center of comfort. As the sun climbs higher, the villa completes another rotation. The horizon shifts. The Alps remain eternal, and perched along their granite spine is proof that impossibility is often just a design problem waiting for precision.
Welcome to the horizon. Not the end of the world, but the beginning of what's possible when engineering dares to climb this high.
The mission is complete, but the standard has just been raised.